I wonder, yes, of course, we see prostitution and murder and killing in movie and television, but is it different when you're giving video gamers the opportunity to do it themselves?
I think it's important to listen to what Strauss was saying there, right? We stand shoulder to shoulder with these other entertainment mediums, and that video games are art. When the last Grand Theft Auto game came out in 2008, we didn't have the Supreme Court case in 2011 that put video games at the same level as other entertainment medium, right, as First Amendment protected mediums. So I think you're going to start to hear companies like Take-Two and other companies kind of defend themselves against the regular litany of criticism about violence and sex by saying, look, this is art. This is just like movies and TV, and now we have a Supreme Court decision that agrees with us. So discussing whether it's too far, I think, is a little strange. Right now you're getting into censorship of things that people might deem unpalatable, but then don't play it or don't buy it. But I think for Take-Two, for Grand Theft Auto, they have a lot of consumers that can make that choice. And I don't think it's supposed to be sexy. I think it's supposed to be grim. I think it's supposed to be lurid. I think that's what they're going for. They're going for gritty.
Tal, what is the state of the art of pushing the envelope there? I mean, I remember playing Grand Theft Auto Liberty City and couldn't believe some of the stuff that I saw. Actually, the violence is so much more disturbing, as violence is so much more disturbing than sex. But what is the sort of state of the art in pushing the envelope here? Absolutely.
So that's a discussion that we actually have at IGN quite a bit. We talk about when do these video games become so real that you actually feel guilty when you do something, when you kill somebody. Do you feel guilty when you raise a gun? Can you actually do it, right? Where's that emotional attachment? And we're getting to the point now with the graphics fidelity that we're seeing in the Xbox One and the PS4 and the new generation consoles that we're really getting close to that. So I do think it's good questions. It's a good thing to ask. It's a good debate to have.
Because that's one of the things about the GTA games is that they're in a setting that's familiar, like literally Collins Avenue in Las Vegas.
The goal is to make it feel as real as possible.
Absolutely. And you can actually get a gut feeling. They're very visceral. I mean, it's a visceral game. And you do get very emotional while playing it sometimes, especially, again, when the graphics become less cartoony and more realistic.
Is that why we're seeing the success of games like Battlefield and Call of Duty where the enemy is sort of more clearly, or zombie games where the enemies are more clearly defined as enemies and maybe less than human for those first-person shooter games?
Well, again, you're telling this noir story, so I think the enemies are apparent to the perspective of the player at that point,
the player's a car thief.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, except the player's a car thief, just like in a movie where a player's a car, or the main character is a car thief. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, in games like a war game, we often talk about when does it get so gritty and real that you get post-traumatic stress disorder from actually playing a video game. Now, is it going to get to that point?
Right. Chris, what about that? What about the first-person nature of these games, the emotional impact they have, and how that plays out when you are a real person interacting in the real world after you play it?
I think this is why we're having this discussion today, right? Grand Theft Auto 5 actually came out a year ago. It just got re-released yesterday for new consoles with a new first-person view, and I think comparing it to shooters like Battlefield and Call of Duty is interesting because those games don't trigger this kind of response. What it is about Grand Theft Auto, in the first-person view, that it's upsetting, and I think it is the setting. It's a real-world setting. I think it's the way the animation's done. This is a game that's built as a third-person game, so you see your arms and legs, right? Your arms move differently. If you flip a car, you can see the sky through the windshield. It has a much different feel than most of your first-person games, and I think Rockstar is betting that we're going to find it upsetting, right? That is a strategic decision. We wrote yesterday on Polygon that it was dangerous again, right? After years of kind of not being dangerous or being maybe even predictable, that Grand Theft Auto feels dangerous again. I think this is what Rockstar is really good at doing. They're good at pushing that envelope. They're good at challenging players to actually ask themselves what they're comfortable with. There's a scene in Grand Theft Auto 5, a torture scene, that made a lot of people, us included, we mentioned it in our review, very uncomfortable, and I think it was distasteful. But that's what they're doing. They want us to talk about this on Bloomberg.
I don't know, legal or not legal. I mean, can we talk about right or wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, this to me just seems like it is over the line.
Have I got to wait till my kids are out of the house to play this game? I mean, there's a certain thrill about.
Don't have them in the room while you're playing this game.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. No, I won't play this in front of my kids. I won't play the zombie games in front of my kids. Don't watch a Tarantino.
Don't watch a Tarantino movie if your kids are in the room.
I also won't do that. Yeah. I mean, it is interesting to watch this.
So watching a movie is different than doing it yourself in a video game. I know that it's technically not real, but it feels real.
I'm not sure if it's that different, though, for this generation, because it's just another form of entertainment. It's just another form of media now. Video games are in the mainstream.
What has this done for sales of this game?
Sex and violence sells. I mean, there's,
Really?
there's
That's
no
why
doubt
Bloomberg
about
West
that.
is so big.
Yes, exactly. There's no doubt about it. So they're approaching 40 million sales for GTA 5. Now, that includes the last generation. We're going to see, there's about, anywhere between 16 and 20 million. The sales data isn't specific. The new generation consoles, the PS4 and the Xbox One's out. So I imagine they'll get a good percentage of those. So we may see this bumping up to 50 million soon.
That's
it was
huge.
the biggest entertainment launch ever in the history of entertainment. $1 billion in the first month. I mean, this is a cultural phenomenon. It is amazing.